The Wellesley tragedy, a mother's dark descent. The chilling story of Janette MacAusland. Imagine a quiet, tree-lined street in one of Massachusetts' most affluent suburbs. Wellesley, a town known for its excellent schools, beautiful homes, and tight-knit community. Families here live the American dream. Kids riding bikes, parents juggling careers and soccer practices. Holidays filled with laughter. But on April 24th, 2026, that dream shattered in the most horrific way imaginable. Inside a lovely home on Edgemoor Avenue, two innocent children, 7-year-old Kai and 6-year-old Ella MacAusland, were found dead. Their own mother, Janette MacAusland, stood accused of strangling them before fleeing the state and attempting to take her own life. This isn't a fictional thriller or a true crime podcast script from decades ago. This happened just weeks ago in 2026. It's a story of a bitter divorce, a fierce custody battle, unimaginable desperation, and a final act that has left a community in mourning and the nation horrified. Today we're diving deep into every known detail. The family background, the warning signs, the heartbreaking confessions, the court appearances, and the questions that still haunt everyone who hears this case. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. This is heavy, emotional content. Let's start at the beginning. The MacAusland family, picture perfect on the surface. Janette MacAusland, 49 years old at the time of the tragedy, lived with her husband and their two young children in a comfortable home on Edgemoor Avenue in Wellesley, Massachusetts. By all outward appearances, they were a typical upper-middle-class family. The kids attended Schofield Elementary School, Kai in 2nd grade, Ella in kindergarten. Neighbors described them as bright, energetic little ones who loved being outside. Kai was a bit shy at first, but warmed up quickly. He loved reading and had a curious mind. Ella was outgoing, full of life and laughter, the kind of kid who lit up a room. A former babysitter later told reporters, "They were two beautiful children who were full of life and laughter." It pains me to think that the world should remember them only by the way their lives were tragically ended. The marriage between Janette and her husband had lasted about 9 years. But behind closed doors, things were unraveling. Court records show that Janette's husband filed for divorce in October 2025. He sought custody of the children and the family home. This wasn't an amicable split. It became a contentious custody battle. By April 2026, a guardian ad litem had been assigned to investigate the best interests of the kids, and the next court date was approaching in early May. Janette was reportedly fighting hard to keep custody of Kai and Ella and to stay in the family home. Friends and family later painted a picture of a woman under immense pressure, emotional, financial, and psychological. Divorce is never easy, especially with young children involved, but no one could have predicted the horror that unfolded on that Friday in late April. The day everything changed. April 24th, 2026. On Friday, April 24th, 2026. Something broke inside the MacAusland home. According to police reports and court documents, Janette allegedly strangled her two children, Kai, 7, and Ella, 6, inside their bedrooms, or possibly in her own bed. Sources close to the investigation indicated the children may have been strangled with a cord. They were found deceased in a bed when police arrived. The details are sparse and deliberately limited, by authorities out of respect for the victims, but what we know is devastating. After the alleged act, Janette did not call for help. Instead, she left the house, drove across state lines to Bennington, Vermont, roughly a 3-hour drive, and showed up at her aunt's home late that night. What happened next is straight out of a nightmare. Janette arrived highly distraught, covered in blood, with a large, visible gash on her throat. She was bleeding and hysterical. Her aunt didn't immediately recognize her, but eventually let her in after she knocked on a window. According to the aunt's statement to police, she was hysterical. I brought her into my house. She had knocked on a window to get my attention, and I could see that she had a large cut on her throat. Janette allegedly confessed right there. When her aunt asked about the children, she said she had killed them. In one of the most chilling quotes from the case, Janette reportedly told her aunt, "I wanted the 3 of us to go to God together, but it didn't work." She was carrying a holiday family photo that included her husband and the kids. When an officer asked about the children, Janette allegedly replied directly, "I strangled them, and then I tried to kill myself." She even mentioned the children were in her bed. Bennington police were called. They arrested Janette as a fugitive from justice. Meanwhile, they immediately contacted Wellesley police for a welfare check on Edgemoor Avenue. Officers entered the home and made the horrific discovery. Kai and Ella, lifeless. The community's worst fears were realized in an instant. Janette was taken into custody in Vermont. She had visible injuries from her suicide attempt. The neck wound was serious. Reports mentioned possible use of a knife, a cord, and even a hairdryer in a suspected attempt at electrocution. She survived, but her children did not. The arrest and extradition. Massachusetts State Police issued an arrest warrant charging Janette with 2 counts of murder. On April 27th, she appeared via video in a Vermont court and waived extradition, agreeing to return to Massachusetts to face the charges. She was held at the Marble Valley Regional Correctional Facility in Vermont initially. The news spread like wildfire. Local media in Boston covered every development. Neighbors gathered in shock. A vigil was held at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church, where hundreds came to mourn the 2 little lives taken far too soon. Flowers, stuffed animals, and candles piled up outside the Edgemoor Avenue home. The superintendent of the Wellesley schools called it an unimaginable loss. Crisis counselors were brought in for students and staff. Arraignment in Massachusetts, May 6, 2026. On Wednesday, May 6, 2026, Janette MacAusland appeared in Dedham District Court for her arraignment. She was brought back to Massachusetts and held without bail, wearing a grey sweatshirt, glasses, and her hair in a bun. She stood in handcuffs. Prosecutors outlined the allegations, including her confession in Vermont. Janette broke down in tears multiple times during the hearing. A not guilty plea was entered on her behalf automatically. She scratched nervously at her hands as the details were read. The judge ordered her held without bail. Her defense requested placement at the Western Massachusetts Regional Women's Correctional Center in Chicopee, citing mental health needs. Her next court date was set for July 13th for a probable cause hearing. This was no triumphant courtroom moment like in movies. It was raw, tragic, and deeply human. A mother who, according to her own words, wanted to take her children with her in a murder-suicide pact. The bigger picture, custody battle, and mental health. Why? That's the question everyone asks in cases like this. Court records point to the ongoing divorce and custody dispute as a central factor. Janette was fighting to keep her kids and the home. A guardian ad litem was involved, meaning tensions were high and a neutral party was assessing the situation. Filicide, when a parent kills their own child, is rare but often linked to severe mental health crisis, domestic turmoil, or delusional thinking. Janette's statement about wanting to go to God together suggests she may have been in a state of profound despair or psychosis. But we must be careful. The investigation is ongoing, and she has pleaded not guilty. Mental health evaluations will likely play a major role in any defense. This case echoes other tragic family annihilations in recent American history, though each is uniquely devastating. The affluent setting in Wellesley makes it even more jarring, reminding us that tragedy doesn't discriminate by zip code. Community reaction and lasting impact. Wellesley is still reeling. Neighbors who once saw the kids playing now drive by a memorial. Schools are supporting grieving children. Support hotlines for domestic violence and mental health have seen increased calls. One neighbor who babysat the kids emphasized remembering Kai and Ella as vibrant little humans, not just victims. Kai the reader, Ella the outgoing one. They loved being outside. They had futures, dreams, birthdays, first days of school that will never come, vigils, GoFundMe, efforts for funeral costs, and community statements from organizations like REACH, focused on domestic abuse, have poured in, urging people to seek help before crises escalate. Unanswered questions. Many details remain sealed. Exact timeline inside the home. Any prior warnings or CPS involvement. Precise forensic evidence. And Janette's full mental state. What was said in the final days? Were there texts, arguments, or signs missed by friends and family? The legal process will unfold slowly. First-degree murder charges carry the possibility of life without parole. Prosecutors will push hard, while the defense will likely argue diminished capacity or insanity. The father, now grieving alone, has remained largely out of the public eye, his pain unimaginable. Reflections on a preventable horror. In the age of social media and 24-hour news, these stories force us to confront uncomfortable truths. The hidden toll of divorce on parents, the desperation in custody battles, the stigma around mental health, and how quickly love can twist into something unrecognizable under pressure. If you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts, depression, or custody stress, please reach out. The National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is 988. Domestic violence support is available through local shelters, and the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. This case isn't over. Janette MacAusland's trial, whenever it happens, will bring more answers and more heartbreak. For now, a town mourns two little angels. Kai and Ella should be getting ready for summer break, not remembered in headlines. Outro. Soft music. Thank you for watching this deep dive. If you found this storytelling valuable, please like, subscribe, and comment below with your thoughts. But remember to be respectful. These are real people, real pain. Rest in peace, Kai and Ella. May your memory inspire better support systems for struggling families. What do you think could have been done differently? Share responsibly